Right now, the Moon Boys are fighting for their lives like a Taco Bell customer the morning after eating one too many cheese chalupas. But is Bitcoin truly on the verge of a major breakdown? Or will it in fact go down as the biggest fake out in the history of baby bull kind? Right now, the price of Bitcoin seems to be inching and squinching a little bit lower as it has fallen now below the 50-day moving average. The big question is now, are we on the verge of a major shakedown breakdown? Or is this in fact going to be the biggest fake out mommy makeout that the world has literally ever seen? So if you love gainers, pumpers, dumpers, accumulating, and also making billions of dollars, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And without any further ado, let's absolutely either get completely wrecked or get completely rich. Wow. This is absolutely ginormous. So Bitcoin's price right now has, over the last 2 days, has fallen below the 50-day moving average, which has been battling pretty bigly for the past 2 weeks or so, after having a monstrous giga bounce off of the 100-day moving average right here. Now, this is very big. In fact, some people might say it's extremely big. If we look at this chart for Bitcoin, there's a few things I want to look at, and primarily, if you look at this chart, what is one of the biggest things you see? Very close to where we currently are. If we zoom in right here, the 21-week moving average right here is exactly also where the $38,000 level is for Bitcoin, massive amount of volume. I would be shocked if we really spend any amount of time below that if we actually get a substantial pullback. The pullback to end all pullbacks right in this range right here, it's not even big. It's quite honestly completely ginormous, this level right here. With the, let's go over this. The 200-week moving average, the 50-week moving average, the biggest amount of volume we see on this entire chart minus the $20,000 level, and the multiple, what was this, like 7-month consolidation right underneath this level, the $30,000 level, is absolutely enormous. So everything looks good. Are we going to get a pullback to this level? Well, one person actually that I'm going to highlight in this video says yes. Do I think we are? We would really have to see how it plays out over the next few weeks, because it's way too early to just expect we're going to get that, considering also we haven't even gotten a real pullback or any sustained dumpy down to this level, which is much higher, $8,000 higher than that other target. So we can't jump our guns, or we can't smooch the pooch just yet, okay? We need to chill out for a little bit, but we're going to jump back into these charts. I want to actually highlight some other very, very big, some people would actually say extremely large things that are happening right now with Bitcoin. So new number of addresses with over 1,000 Bitcoin surges from about 1999 to over 2076 in the last 2 weeks, meaning addresses with a lot of Bitcoin are starting to surge. There's a lot of other metrics showing that whales in general are accumulating, while a lot of the sell pressure has been by large amounts of tiny addresses. So basically, maybe the shrimp are selling, but are the whales accumulating? Are the whales buying massively right now? And a lot of the sells are actually from little itsy bitsy shrimp, right? That might be a good indication. Usually whales have a little more knowledge or skill in the market, not always, but a lot of the times more skill in timing the market. But this is the highest number of wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin since back in December of 2022, when Bitcoin was just 17,000 US dollars. Okay, you can kind of see this trend reversing from the beginning of a downtrend to now we're seeing this trend reverse to where the whales are potentially buying big time. But also, the world has never experienced anything like this before. Available supply on exchanges dwindling rapidly, and we're going to see the supply issuance get cut in half from 900 Bitcoin mined per day to 450. The incoming pump is going to melt faces. It's going to melt trousers. It's going to be extremely big. You see this chart by Nate Garachi as well. There are 9 spot ETFs. However, BlackRock and Fidelity, if we really zoom out and kind of watch this play out, this is kind of where it ends right here. You can see this is where it started, right? All of this. We fast forward a little bit. It is very clear so far there is 2 dominators of this market, right? Fidelity and BlackRock. However, also ARK and Bitwise on the path to hitting $1 billion, not too far from here, right here. And then also Invesco kind of trying to catch up there as well. But it's very clear there are some leaders of the pack in the Bitcoin spot ETF accumulation race. BlackRock and Fidelity now hold about 135,000 Bitcoin, almost worth over almost $6 billion for their Bitcoin spot ETFs. Very extremely big, very extremely massively big. Also, El Salvador's Bitcoin president has been reelected. Nayib Bukele here, very popularly as well. It wasn't very even close. 87% compared to these 4 or 1%, the next highest. Yeah, very popular. And, if Bitcoin enters truly this massive bull market that many people believe is coming, then he's going to look like an absolute baby genius, right? His people are going to be celebrating him like a baby genius. Well-deserved. This chart also by Titan of Crypto, he talks about this Elliott wave fractal with a top of around 340,000 US dollars. He said that it's been following his path for the past 3 months. What do you believe? So actually, we kind of zoom in on this right here. You can see afterwards he expects maybe a crash back down to pretty much where we are in the next bear market. But local, maybe breaching 100,000 in the next couple of months, pullback, and then ultimately hitting this target, he says, of about a little over a third of $1 million by the end of 2025. So, interesting to look at. And also, you can see here, CryptoCon on Twitter pointing out that no Bitcoin cycle has ever escaped a retest of the 150% long-term holder support line. Every cross above, including the 2020 Black Swan recovery, retested this line. Basically, if it would happen right now, it would put Bitcoin at about $31,300. The main argument against a big correction like that is the ETF buying pressure, which we truly don't know. He says here it's true, we've never seen the ETF inflows before, so we can only wait and watch to see what effects it will have. But in the event of a retest of support, it should be looked at as a buying opportunity. So basically, yeah, I agree with that. That if we would get a massive dumpulation, I would look at that as a pretty big buying opportunity. So looking also Bitcoin's chart on the 4-hour, you can see since really the 6th of December, so for the past 2 months, we've primarily been just within this same trading channel, like the same exact channel. Here, we've had 2 little breaches out of it. One at the very beginning of January and a week after, and then one to the downside the week of like January 23rd. But other than that, we've had so many touches of support on the bottom here, so many touches of resistance at the top here, and we're continuing to pretty much range sideways with slight higher lows. And despite these two break out and break down, if you kind of get rid of those two, then really we haven't seen any substantial move yet, right? We're just getting bounces very quickly if we get a dump, and then rejections very quickly when we get pumps out of it. So we've just been trading sideways for pretty much the last 2 months. And this chart as well absolutely illustrates the same thing. This goes back to the very beginning of December. And you can see after we had the rise from middle of October to the beginning of December, we've just been trading sideways for Bitcoin. A lot of altcoins, honestly, also have been, for the most part, hanging on to their gains of this bust. They've been hanging on to the gains they achieved here, but also a lot of sideways, right? Alts had a pretty nice pump maybe the first week after Bitcoin's initial pump right here. But ultimately, yeah, we're kind of still trading sideways. There are a couple coins up 5% or so, but ultimately it's nothing too crazy with altcoins yet, and we don't expect it to be just yet. Now, one thing though is that if we look at the entire altcoin chart, absolutely, you can see we are exiting the pre-bust phase. This is the pre-bust phase of 2018 into 2019, even into the middle of 2020, right? Multi-year pre-bust phase, accumulation phase. And then the bust, okay? This is the entire altcoin market. And then here we are, multiple years in the pre-bust phase. We're starting to exit it, right? If we zoom in, you can see exiting this range here. And we are soon going to enter the bust phase, in my opinion. it's very, very clear. I have a very clear idea of where I think we are and where I think we're going next. But yeah, if we look at Bitcoin's chart on the daily, obviously, we're right now squinched in between the 50 and 21-day moving average. Not much has really happened. This is a daily chart, and you can see what we highlighted on the weekly chart right here. This area right here is this chart, but zoomed in. And you can see it's just been a lot of sideways, except for, you know, a mini pump and a mini dump. No clear decision yet. There has not really been any really big volatility for the past 2 months. And I fully expect that to change soon. Now, as we just said, the big question is, if the stock market starts a downtrend, will it bring Bitcoin down? And keep in mind, we also have the DXY today up its 2 biggest green daily candles in quite a long time, trying to reclaim the 106 level. Still a ways off, but it's attempting to have that here. I think with the Fed's news last week that they are pretty much taking off, or not really expecting to do a rate cut in March. I think that's why the DXY is pumping, because the market is saying, hey, at least, you know, give it at least another meeting or two before we really start with these rate cuts. And I think that's like the main reason why the DXY would have any strength. Don't get me wrong, once the rate cuts start, I fully think that we are going to see the DXY enter more of a dumpulation. Absolutely. Long term, I think that's exactly where we're going over the next 18 months. A bigger dumpulation. Higher prices for the stock market and especially Bitcoin as we get closer and closer to the halving. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, we're getting closer also for the altcoin bust. We're still in the pre-bust. We're exiting the pre-bust, but we still have a good amount of time, I think. I think that, as I've been saying for a long time, I mean, we have like less than 80 days until the Bitcoin halving. So really 2.5 months or so. And then we can really start to expect, in my opinion, things to really start going more bonkers mode after that. It could absolutely happen before, right? We could see some nice gains out of or before, you know, as we approach the halving beforehand. I just think that's, you know, let's go based on history. Bitcoin and altcoins really start to run following the halving. Could it happen beforehand? Absolutely. I mean, again, as the tweet we talked about mentioned, that we don't really know how these inflows from the ETFs, these billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin that are going to be accumulated by these institutions, how that's going to really affect the supply as we go into the halving. I mean, we know how it'll affect the supply. It'll, you know, make the supply even more scarce. But how will it really affect the price? And how will it affect a bull market? You know, is it possible? Is it possible? Let's actually get like a really zoomed out chart. Is it possible that, let's just go to the entire crypto market cap. Is it possible that we see a bull explosion like this, right? Hey, nothing is off the table. It's absolutely a possibility worth entertaining. And sign up with Femex below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, trade. It takes 30 seconds to sign up, and you get some nice deposit bonuses if you use my link below. Without any further ado, that's it for me.